You're an odd man, Christy man.
I killed my poor father Tuesday was a week.
You killed your father?
With the help of God, I did, surely.
There's great temptation in a man that slays that. So rise up and come with me. Kill that star.
2 fine women fighting for the likes of me. Wasn't I a foolish fellow not to kill my father in the years gone by? Me there, not known at all, I was drawn all times nearer to this holy day.
I not knowing there was the like of you drawing nearer like the stars of God. Well, you're the walking Playboy of the Western world. I don't think the Royal National Theatre should be sending out a video of the paddies in the bar singing. These questions, I did not approve them. First question. What object is on the Irish coat of arms?
Brian Bruce-Har.
Absolutely
Long room
correct.
at Trinity College, Dublin.
Question 2. What city is famous for the Book of Kells?
Dublin.
There you go.
Damn it.
Which Irish instrument is traditionally made of wood and has a distinct droning sound?
Flute.
No. Well, you haven't done it yet, so yes, you.
Pike.
I was concertina.
Concertina?
Which
Yeah.
is more wooden, the Pipe or the concertina?
I mean, the concertina is more wooden.
Can we give me a point? Just
We'll give you a point. That's a point each.
Just so I have a fighting chance.
Okay, fingers on buzzers. Buzzers. What Irish county is the Playboy of the Western world set in?
Mayo.
Correct, right, and well done.
I'm the quizmaster.
Oh, right, fair.
If you hear sound out of me, something's gone terribly wrong. Which Irish island group did James sing famously? Siobhan singing.
Aran Islands.
Bang on.
I made the noise wrong as well.
He was a panicked duck.
Yeah, it was.
I felt for that.
There's no other kind in fairness, yeah.
In which year did the Playboy of the Western world?
1907.
1907? Wasn't it?
Yes.
It was January 1907.
Yeah.
At which theatre did the Playboy of the Western world?
The Abbey Theatre in Dublin.
Just to tally up. It's
Yeah,
it's
2-1.
2-1 Nicola. It could all change. And the final question. Don't be so hasty with this one now. Which gifts is Christy given by the village women?
He's given a fiddle played by the poets in years gone by, flat and 3 black.
McSweeney.
You didn't hear
Oh,
us.
flip, I didn't, you're right.
A brace of duck eggs, a cut of cake, a poulet breast bursting.
No,
One more. Oh, and a pat of butter.
Pat of butter.
Damn it.
Excellent work. He comes out with riches.
He does. actually, yeah.
Right. It's all level at the break.
Oh! Tune in to find out the final round. Who will win? I think you're very much Ireland's sweetheart.
That's very kind. I think that would be you.
No,
And my family would say the same.
I was giving an edgy political answer.
I like it.
If we're talking the sort of Bear Grylls survival of it, I don't do well.
But you were late today. Fairness. I was on the school quiz team.
She
and I
does
love it.
crosswords
I
as
do
well.
cross. I do
Yeah,
the New
she
Times
does- yeah,
crossword every day.
yeah.
Plenty
so I'd
of
say
facts.
my head is full of a lot of useless information.
Yeah.
I would say.
Not with my asthma.
Man. You know what I mean?
fair.
Patriarchy, 1907.
Oh, yeah.
And you've long legs. You'd be able to catch something or run away.
I appreciate that you knew I'd beat her.
No, absolutely not.
I'd die after a
No,
week.
no.
Like, oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you. Which is surprising.
Terrible sense of direction.
Do you?
that mad?
Do you have a good one.
I've a really, and I genuinely don't understand it when people don't. I think you're very much Ireland's sweetheart.
That's very kind. I think that would be you.
No,
And my family would say the same.
I'm going to say Nicola Cockney.
I really.
I disagree, but thank you.
Someone who can regale with a very good story.
That's you. Yeah. Give us fun. Come on.
No, that's
Yes.
not a hero. That's
think
just
we
being
do
a
very
Outnumbered. Just
If we-
take it.
No,
Take it.
you
It
won't
depends
take
on the
it.
village. There,
Yes,
we
if
said
it was
depends on the
melancholic, for
village.
example, they wouldn't.
They'd
I've
not
been
take
in
you.
Cork with you, and you were regaling and singing. You were singing on a Pucker Willa at 2 a.m, and that, you know.
It's
Lies.
a resounding yes.
We need a rendition now.
Magwaldum sheer can druddy voir peachim gods made duller velke caspi rum a gummer koi got buck on crone say a willa hallelujah 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 Tom Pucker willa hallelujah
What do you not know the song?
hallelujah Ashton
You're an odd man, Christy man. The oddest walking fellow I ever set my eyes on to this hour today.
What would any be but odd men and they living lonesome in the world?
I'm not odd. And I'm my whole life with my father only.
How would a lovely, handsome woman the like of you be lonesome when all men should be thronging around to hear the sweetness of your voice and the little infant children should be pestering your steps, I'm thinking, and you walking the roads?
Oh, I am hard set to know what way a coaxing fellow the like of you should be lonesome either.
Coaxing?
Would you have me think a man never talked with girls would have the words you've spoken today? It's only letting on you are to be lonesome the way you get round me now.
I wish to God I was letting on, but I was lonesome all times and born lonesome, I'm thinking, as the moon of dawn.
Well, it's a story I'm not understanding at all. How you'd be worse than another Christy Mahon. And you a fine lad with a great savagery to destroy your dad!
When I want a man, I have him. When he wants to tell, he finds he can't. That's the whole story.
And was that our story? My trip to the country is the first steps towards the most ambitious plan I have ever undertaken. Madame de Torval.
Oh, for God's sake, you must leave me. If you don't want to kill me, you must help. It's killing me.
Come back when you have succeeded, and I will offer you a reward.
No more refusals and no more regrets.
I just want you to give me a kiss.
Vanity and happiness are incompatible.
Never show pity, especially to the vulnerable.
They didn't sit at home and watch Rivals, they danced. She'd have loved Rivals.
She would have loved it.
She would have loved Rivals. So I always wanted to play the Muckies, but as time went on, I thought, oh, well, I'm getting too old to play her now, maybe. But Marianne's take on this was always that she wanted the Muckies to be older than Valmont. It makes her more vulnerable, and she's a woman who really certainly doesn't show any vulnerability.
I read the play and was really drawn to Torval in particular because I hadn't really gotten the chance to play someone so vulnerable. I often get typecast as confident and above a certain level of conflict, and I think this just looked very appealing to me, to get to not be above that kind of heartbreak.
I studied the play in drama school, so I was always interested in the work, in the piece, and I'd watched other people in my class play Valmont, and I was just intrigued by these people who didn't seem to have work. You know, their work was like manipulating other people and, you know, coming up with these devilish plans and coercing them into these situations.
The dance is absolutely part of the narrative. It's not just a scene and then a dance, a scene, then a dance.
It does a lot to tell us, I think, about the society. Tom really worked with the dancers, the suits versus skirts, and class dynamics and power dynamics between men and women. I think that is just a beautiful tool to help tell the story in the most personal way possible.
It seems to make sense to me that Valmont is somebody who can dance. Don't know if he likes to do it, but I think he's probably quite good at it. And he's quite a sexual person, and this is a way to get close to people, whether it be talking or moving or touching or whatever it is. So it makes sense that he's interested in that kind of thing.
It feels like it's an extension of the social life. They didn't sit at home and watch Rivals, they danced. So she'd have loved Rivals.
She would have loved it.
She would have loved Rivals. You know, it is an uncomfortable play to watch at times. And yes, it was written in the 1780s, where it was kind of de rigueur to abuse young women without any concern about how they might feel about it.
It's really interesting that there are mirrors in the back, and you're an audience member looking at yourself in a way, at least when you come in and sit down, and then you're laughing at these things, and then you're sort of being confronted with yourself. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. I mean, these two they're so, of course, they're fundamentally vile, but they are also so funny. And I think that's partly why people have said to me, you kind of feel sorry for Marthe at the end. Awful as she is, deep down, she's a woman who's made herself significant in what is fundamentally a man's world. It's the first NT Live I've done. I had a great time doing it, and I now feel that, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that play that I missed. If NT Live has captured it.
I didn't get to see any of it, but from what I heard from people watching things backstage, some of the other actors were saying it looked terrific, it looked like a film, and it was being edited at the time.
I was won over, really. I mean, I was a little bit skeptical because I thought, you know, are we doing it for the cameras or are we doing it for the audience? Because, of course, you're doing it for the audience, and that is what the cameras are capturing.
I can't understand how someone whose instincts are so generous could lead such a dissolute life.
I've spent my life surrounded by immoral people. I've allowed myself to be influenced by them, and sometimes even taken pride in outshining them. Whereas, in this case, I've simply fallen under a quite opposite kind of influence. Yours.
You mean you wouldn't have done it?
Not without your example, no. It was by way of an innocent tribute to your goodness. Mm-hmm. Oh, you see how weak I am? Oh, I promised myself I was never going to tell you. It's just looking at you.
Monsieur.
Oh, you needn't worry. I've no illicit intentions. I wouldn't dream of insulting you. But I do love you. I adore you. Please help me.
Will you leave me now?
I shouldn't have said anything. I know I shouldn't. I'm sorry. But really, you've nothing to fear. Tell me what to do. Show me how to behave. I will do anything you say.
I thought the least I could hope for was that you would respect me.
But I do. Of course I do.
Then forget all this. Don't say another word. You've offended me deeply. It's unforgivable.
You might give me some credit for being honest.
On the contrary, this confirms everything I've been told about you.
It's a really opulent and exciting society. It's really sexy, to be honest. But it's also horribly structured, it's judgmental, it's a kind of well-functioning, well-oiled, brutal machine that spits people out. And so the mirror ball became this object that was both really tantalizing and exciting, but also kind of oppressive. The mirror ball is the central feature of the design for the Liaisons. It is a monolithic sphere that sits in the middle of the space.
The mirror ball is just shy of 5 meters wide and 5 meters tall. It's made of steel. It weighs 1.4 tons. It has 9 different rings, each of which has 16 candles on, which means there are 144 candles in total.
We were really interested in creating a production that connects a line from the 1700s to present day without totally leaning into either period. The mirror ball became this idea that held both the kind of opulence and grandeur of the 1700s, of that Parisian Versailles world where mirrors and candles were the coolest thing that you could have on your walls, and a kind of disco hall, a kind of dance room, a kind of club aesthetic.
It's supposed to represent the sort of opulent environment that the characters live in, but it also should feel quite oppressive. When you look at it, it's really just cold metal structure. And it's a bit like the main character that Leslie Manville plays. She's beautiful, but underneath the surface, she is cold and pretty hard.
We were really interested in how to kind of symbolize the sort of contradictions in the play. One of the very early ideas for this production was that we would have a troupe of dancers that will perform these ballroom routines. They will become the society that judges and spits out our characters. The mirror ball would almost become the sort of leader of the pack in that situation.
There's a sort of mechanical aspect to all of that. You have to know the steps to fit in, and if you don't fit in, you don't participate. So there is this sort of machine behind the scenes, and the idea was that the mirror ball, although it is ostensibly a very beautiful object, is also redolent of kind of clockwork or behind-the-scenes mechanism.
We knew that this was going to be a big project and was going to involve a lot of different people's expertise. So for the mirror ball, that involved coordinating between, I think, 11 different technical teams as well as the creative team in order to achieve what you finally see on stage.
There are 144 individual candles on the chandelier. We've got control of every single one of them. Inside the candle, which is made of real wax, they have a LED light source in the top, which represents the flame, and we chose that to make sure that it was the same color temperature as a real flame. There's also a strip of LED which causes the top half of the candle to glow. As you'd expect, you know, like a church candle, when it burns down a little bit, the flame kind of goes inside and the top half of the wax glows very beautifully. So there's quite a lot of engineering in these little things, but they look very good, I think.
Collaboration was totally central to it existing. It takes up a lot of space. And so there was a sort of very careful kind of plan made of how do you light the actors.
We have to find ways of lighting around it. We don't always want to create bounce and reflection from it. It's also covered in mirror. So a lot of the challenge was trying to light the dancers and the actors without necessarily hitting the mirror ball.
One of the surprises that was a kind of a sort of happy accident and has ended up being quite a big feature in the show is the way that the object casts shadows. It could have been a real nightmare because it could have made it impossible to light the space, James and me. We used our phone torches to sort of light the space in different ways, and what was cast over the floor was this amazing kind of crisp cage-like shadow, and then when you start spinning the ball, it sort of twirls with it, obviously. And that felt like a really exciting discovery. But what was even more interesting and what's often the way with theatre is we didn't really know how we were going to use that or whether it would actually be useful. However, in this situation, we got to the end of Act 1 and we were sort of staring at the space, being like, this needs to move forwards. We sort of decided to switch that big light on that we'd put in the middle of the space that went through the model box, and it went through the mirror ball, and it's created these amazing shadows, creating a really ominous feeling.
I would say that the biggest challenge we had on this was making it spin. We're quite used to lifting large, heavy items in and out above our stages. What we're less used to doing is having them move around when they're up there. The first time we spun it, the top was still moving, but the ball kept pausing because it would get enough momentum from the rigging system to move, and then it would stop moving. And that was a slightly scary moment of, is this how it's going to work?
Is it going to be too heavy to fly from our rig? How do you sort of rig it so that it doesn't rock from side to side? What are its speeds? You need the amazing brains of so many different departments, and also a bit of guts to put something that big and that sort of physical in a space.
And our automation team did some fantastic work going back through that and working out what our acceleration speeds are that eliminate that problem, that mean that it can move smoothly throughout.
The moment that we all sort of sat in the Littleton and watched it fly up and spin for the first time was pretty epic, to be honest.
It required so much from all of these people, their best work and their brilliance in order to deliver that. And it made me so excited about what we can achieve as an organisation when we all work together like that.
The really magical thing about making theatre always is that you are almost always doing something that has never been done before. There might be bits of it that you're taking from other productions, but if it's working well, it's always a bit of an experiment.
It's a real testament to the design that you can have something this enormous and it doesn't overshadow the show.
It's quite a threatening object when it first flies in. So it's not all about beauty, it's also supposed to represent the sort of unpleasant side of the world that these people inhabit.
There's a final moment at the end of the piece where you understand that even though all of these terrible things have taken place, the chandelier keeps spinning. It just keeps turning. So despite the pain, despite the loss, the kind of mechanism of society doesn't care.
What is it, Alice? Talk to me.
Back off, please. I need space.
Why so angry? I mean, the look on your face
Don't tell me how I should or should not look.
I apologise.
You're out of order, understood?
Of course, of course.
You'll be asking me to calm down next.
I would never say that. I'd just like some context around what I'm supposed to have done.
Done?
Yes.
Well, shall I explain to everyone?
What? No, Alice,
So
no.
we meet this woman coming up the stairs, and she's like, John, and he's like, hey. And she goes, really, really loved your play, and moves in for the big hug thing. And John here's mumbling.
I wasn't mumbling,
something,
I really wasn't.
Mumbling something about how this is just so great. We must catch up, make a date. How's her work going? Are the creative juices flowing? And the big hug thing's going on and on. But then, when this woman's finally gone, and I ask him, who the hell was that? Turns out he's no idea. His mind's a blank. Maybe someone from a workshop somewhere, because despite the catch-up bullshit fact is, John, you do not care.
Whoa, 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 that's
You
pretty
faked,
fierce.
you lied, you were insincere. Not fierce, no, accurate. Because if I treated a woman like that, I'd start to worry I was not acceptably human.
That's a pretty extreme view. Alice, you know I didn't do it out of whatever. I just wanted her to think I'd remembered who she was.
Uh-huh. And why is that? Come on, because?
Because it's obvious.
Know something? Most of us can actually survive without the endorsement of a man.
Endorsement? What the hell is this?
You can be gay, you know, and still a misogynist.
Excuse me, I do not hate women. Hey, this is John. It's John, your friend, okay? Some unknown woman takes me in her arms. I feel it's right to say how charmed I am. Everyone deserves respect, and it really bothers me you can confuse a moral duty with misogyny.
I think I might be an incel.
With stuff like that, if you don't tell someone, your sponsor or whoever, you'll start drinking again. It's basic 4th and 5th step stuff. The point is to divest yourself of shame.
So it's like a confession if you're Catholic.
Yeah, to God of your own understanding. That chair could be your God.
I don't get that.
A paper cup, whatever.
How could a paper cup be God?
The important thing is to get involved with the program of recovery, the steps.
The 12 steps.
And that's why you need a sponsor.
You only have sex 3 times a year?
About that, yeah.
That's nothing.
That's more than you're having.
I was on the treadmill, right? Guess who walked in? Willem Dafoe. Now that is a spiritual awakening,
It's come to my attention that you've been lying to me.
Well, I haven't. No, it's not
Listen,
true.
son, don't lie to me. There's no right and wrong.
It's the 5th step.
So what?
So it's all about right and wrong. So how many meetings should I go to?
Oh, as many as you can, as often as you can.
I was thinking of doing 6 meetings a week.
Right. Huh?
Like a meeting every day.
Yeah.
Go to the gym in the morning, look for work in the afternoon, and then a meeting at night.
Yeah, good plan.
And then go to the cinema on a Sunday.
Yeah, have a day off.
I love the movies.
Oh, me too. What kind of movies do you like?
Anything violent.
All right.
Like horror, extreme horror.
I don't like horror.
Korean horror, Japanese horror.
I don't like anything with subtitles.
Or anything like gangster, like Goodfellas, Godfather.
Yeah, that's more my kind of up my street.
Chinatown, Deer Hunter.
Now we're talking.
Or like Taxi Driver. I love De Niro.
Me too. Raging Bull.
You fuck my wife.
Yeah.
You fuck my wife.
That's good, that.
How can you ask me that? How can you ask me that? Your own brother.
That's little.
You're very smart, Joey. You're very smart. Yeah. You give me all these answers, but you ain't give me the right answers. I'm ask you again. You fuck my wife.
Yeah.
Teaching drama without being able to see a high-quality production is like trying to teach a child to swim in a swimming pool with no water. It can't be done. You just sense your strokes. The next best thing to going to live theatre is to bring the theatre into the classroom so that you can share collectively an experience. The National Theatre Collection is an online library of resources and productions that is free to all UK state schools. So in today's lesson, we're going to recap a little bit about what we know of Frankenstein's production so far.
For some of these students, they've never experienced either a production or a production of that scale before, and the enjoyment that they get from it is incredible.
It's a more relaxed atmosphere and it makes students feel comfortable to express their ideas. You can be thinking about the meaning behind certain things, the director's decisions.
The collection is a way to connect what they do in the classroom to the real world.
Think about it, discuss it, and then we'll share. It helps them to develop empathy and skills of understanding how other people might be feeling.
He's almost ashamed to be himself.
The sorts of situations that might be impacting them in their own lives.
The additional resource packs open up the process behind the productions.
From the original design ideas through to the finished production, for how the actors might have worked during rehearsals. It gives them a greater understanding of all of the process that goes into creating a production.
We've used Treasure Island, Wonder.Land, Romeo and Juliet, One Man, Two Guvnors.
It's on demand and it's at your fingertips, and you can pause it, talk about it, play a bit more, rewind.
For a teacher, it's like a gold mine. Using this collection in your classrooms is a no-brainer.
It's the thing that the students will go away remembering the most.
Am I saying it enough? Because it really is amazing.
The National Theatre Collection is a collection of, at the moment, 70 titles. These are 70 productions that we've filmed in a high quality way, and we package them with teaching resources and aids for teachers and students.
There's also free to UK state-funded schools.
They just love watching the productions. It almost feels like there's more interaction between what's happening on the screen and what's happening in the room. Being given something like this for free is like someone's slipped a gold bar into your lunchbox.
It's a more relaxed atmosphere and it makes students feel comfortable to express their ideas. You can be thinking about the meaning behind certain things, the director's decisions.
It gives them a greater understanding of all of the process that goes into creating a production. It's on demand and it's at your fingertips.
Every child should have the opportunity to learn to express themselves creatively, to work with other people, and within that to actively listen. All of these are skills which studying drama and getting involved in drama can really build and develop in young people.
When we first launched it, it was a real unknown. Nothing like this quite exists in quite the same way, but how we've been able to build it and the support we've had from the industry and from the National Theatre to be able to grow this offering and look at opportunities and get that feedback from teachers to build it has been really, really rewarding.
The next best thing to going to live theatre is to bring the theatre into the classroom so that you can share collectively an experience.
We've been doing this project with the National Theatre, which is bringing drama into the classroom, and that's been really, really helpful for time management, really, and resource management. It will also give you ideas for your teaching. We were reenacting Peter Pan. One of our students who had come into the country without any English, he put himself forward and said, "Can I be Captain Hook?" He had another student line ghosting for him, so whispering the lines as he needed it, and he did such a brilliant job at being Captain Hook. He had a very wicked laugh.
My favourite one was the Peter Pan one. Captain Hook in the story, it was supposed to be like a man, but it was a woman. It's like you're seeing it in real life. It gives like a turn to like everyone to be everyone who they want to be.
All of what we're talking about now is all linked to giving them that exposure, so they're able to operate in that in not just their community but out beyond their community. That free resource for us as a school is really, really beneficial.
Happiest of birthdays, National Theatre Collection.
Happy birthday, NT Collection.
Happy birthday.
Happy 5th birthday to the National Theatre Collection.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
You're doing a fantastic job coming to our classroom.
Hello everyone, I'm Rosamund Pike. I'm on the roof of the beautiful National Theatre, where I'm currently performing at the Littleton Theatre in Inter Alia, a new play from the creators of Prima Facie. We're having a wonderful time. We hope audiences are having a wonderful time, and now you have the chance to see our show anytime you wish on National Theatre at Home.
I am the mother, the judge. As a mother, I always feel guilty. This job, it takes up so much. It's never balanced. I do not signal as some judges, older, male, impatience, but hazy memory, lack of clarity. The truth is not always easy to explain. Weeping children, trembling witnesses. My beautiful boy. What is it to be a parent? The worry. They don't tell you about the worry. I'm reading the room. In my court, juries pick up on nuance. They read into everything. I subtly offer a nod to counsel to continue. And Mr. Buckley slays with his final cross-examination. I'm just trying to establish exactly what did happen, Miss Jones. Done with flair, but a tone. It's his tone I don't like, not the words, the subtext. It says, "You may be the judge, and I will play this how you wish, but I will use whatever tone I like." I feel the sharpness of the unspoken battle between us. He's a barrister that I once worked alongside, and now he must obey me. So this tone of his, this speaking more slowly than necessary, it's a message to me. Oh, that was quick.
Crackers, pate, some hummus and Mediterranean dips, extra virgin olive oil, and baby spinach leaves, reduced.
Oh, good, and milk.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Milk, I've got the cheese.
He had it delivered.
And I made a cracking playlist for the party.
Oh God, REM is it?
Don't forget we're performing that song we've been practicing.
No, Dad, remember I've got the party later.
Yeah, before you go.
Yeah. Danielle is a star senior junior that I used to be in chambers with. Now, she'll be a judge one day, that's for sure. Hiya. Yeah, I just finished the sentence on my rape case. I don't know, what do we need? Maybe some fizzy water for the table, Danielle exclaims, hosting a dinner for 16. Nutter, you live like you work, everything done at speed. We both laugh, but when I hang up, I think about it, and it bothers me slightly. It's this job, I mean, it takes up so much. It's never balanced. As a mother, I always feel guilty. I look at the photo of Harry on the mantelpiece. He's holding a ball, he's smiling. But I see the look of slight trepidation in his face. He's never been any good at sport, poor kid. And I try to remind myself of the hours that I have spent with Harry. I don't do that at speed. My beautiful boy. His vulnerability. God, what is it to be a parent? Well, the worry. They don't tell you about the worry. Call the case back on in 15. And Mina calls out, all rise! And I race back to my rooms, my judge's chambers. I take off my wig, my gown's still on. Oh, Mina puts my wig on its stand. All right. She gestures to me, do I want coffee? Aha! I don't. She leaves. And I shake out my wig-flattened hair. And I bring myself back to me. Back to Jessica. Jess. Back to being...
Mum!
Harry, what's happened?
I can't find my shirt.
Oh.
The one with the flowers.
What, the blue one?
No, Mum, that's the one I had as a kid. I was 10.
Well, I don't remember another one.
Yes, you do. The pinkish one.
Still have no idea.
Pink and white?
Dare not say.
You bought it? Christmas. Tropical.
Have you looked in your cupboard?
Yes. Of course I have.
A boy look or a girl look?
But it isn't there.
Darling, when did you wear it last?
I don't know.
Okay, is this urgent, love?
Yes,
because
yes, it's urgent. Look, I'm wearing it to a party on Friday night.
Oh!
It's the theme. Hawaiian.
Oh, whose party, Harry?
You don't know them.
Well, I can look for it when I get home, darling.
What if you're too late?
I won't be.
Well, you're always late. Look, I really do need it now.
Darling, I'm at work, and I'm in the middle of a trial, and I need to get back into court, but I promise you, I will find it.
What if you don't? Well, I won't have a costume.
Oh, Mina comes back with the coffee.
Mum, I will
Put the phone to my ear so she can't hear. It's my son. It's a delicate matter.
Darling! Look at all these delicious guests I brought you.
Summerfolk, all the same.
My first love.
I'm boiling.
It's getting hotter.
It's too hot. The honour of being your wife is not as amazing as you think.
Small, boring little people.
Just grow up! I hate the way we all lie to ourselves. This picnic is boring.
Like life. The men are having a good time.
They're drunk. They're probably talking about sex. Wait, no, not like that. Slower. I'm drunk, but I'm not having a good time. It's too hot. Nowadays, when I drink, I get sad, self-destructive.
Oh, everything is such a muddle, such a blur. And it scares me.
What scares you?
People. You can't trust them.
Yes, you can't trust them. I know what you mean.
No, you don't know what I mean. I don't understand you. You don't understand me. No one understands anyone. We're all drifting like icebergs, rubbing shoulders in the cold North Sea.
What for, darling? It feels great just like that.
Oh, come on, let's sing! That duet you sang the other day, Julia, that was beautiful. Yes, it was, wasn't it? It was so pure. I love everything that's pure, believe it or not.
I can feel a kind of grey anger growing inside me. Grey,
Heavy clouds weighing me down. I think I have a problem with rage, Vanya. I don't love anyone. I don't want to love anyone. I'm going to die single all alone.
Darling, stop. It's so depressing.
Sweetie, you don't want to be married. Take it from me.
What's up, Vanya? Tell me.
Oh, for some reason, I feel low. You know, Vlasic, you know how sometimes, somehow, not thinking of anything in particular, suddenly you feel trapped. Everything seems fake, horrible, useless, and everyone seems so shallow somehow, even you, joking around.
That's not fair. I write serious poetry, much better than Calaria's.
I've got this sense of doom, of looming doom.
Don't read the news, it will just depress you. There's so many words that rhyme with doom. Moon, room, baboon.
Soon.
Soon is more of a half rhyme. You'd know that if you're more of a poet like me.
Vlas, please, shut up.
Yeah. You know, you're not very nice. I have to run around town all day copying out suings and counter-suings.
Oh.
Of course, by the end of the day, leave it. I'm going to babble hysterically.
I want to get out of here. I want to go somewhere where the people are simple and healthy.
You sound like Tolstoy. You should probably grow a massive beard.
No, stop it. Be serious. Where they talk about different things in a different language.
And they all think in capital letters and they're going about some great project for the benefit of humanity. Is a fiction. All there is this.
Come on, Vlas. You know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, I hate to break it to you, Vanya, but you're not going anywhere. And neither am I.
Well, I might.
Oh.
I just might.
This play is called Our Town. It was written by Thornton Wilder. The day is May the 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. Another day's begun.
Morning, Mrs. Webb. Morning, Joe.
Children, time to get up.
Morning, Doc. Morning, are we?
Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
This town's getting bigger every year.
Some people aren't made for small town life.
Dave wouldn't come, but I wouldn't want to know everything that was happening here.
I always say happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
People are meant to go through life 2 by 2. It is natural to be lonesome. All I want is someone to love me.
Emily, I'll try.
And I mean forever. Do you hear? Forever and ever.
This is the way we were at the beginning of the 20th century. In our growing up, and in our marrying, and in our living, and in our dying.
Well, the play Our Town, in one way, is just a very simple story. It follows the story of a community.
It's a play set in 3 acts in a fictional town called Grover's Corners.
We see family life and a day in the town's life.
You meet the stage manager first, who sort of introduces everybody, but you meet 2 families who are next door neighbours their entire lives.
So you see the 2 families, the Webbs and the Gibbs, alongside each other.
And you get introduced to Emily and George.
My daughter and your son fall in love and get married, and it's their story we follow.
And throughout it, you're guided by the stage manager, played by Michael Sheen.
The stage manager character at the very beginning of the play tells everybody, you're here to see a play, you're here to see some actors.
And he sort of has that magical ability to come into the story and then be on the outside and comment on it. He's sort of that constant connection for the audience.
It's about the details, the little things, the things that maybe are happening at the time that you don't sort of take much account of.
He's not written about extraordinary people. He's written about people's everyday lives, but those lives are extraordinary. It's extraordinary that any of us are even here in the first place.
Yeah, so profound.
Thanks.
Then you've also got other people in the town, like Mrs. Soames, for example.
Simon Stimson.
Simon Stimson is choir master, and Mr. Morgan, who owns the drugstore. So you get a real snapshot of this extended community, and Bessie, the horse.
The horse. Can't forget Bessie.
There's a horse.
The events of the play end in 1913, so just the year before the First World War, but he was writing it just before the Second World War. And I think he was very aware that life can change in an instant.
This play is telling us, look at the people that you loved and tell them and be present.
It's about how you should take all the chances to do the things that you want to do when they are presented to you.
And by the end of the play, I think, you come away just wanting to make the most of what you've got and make the most of everyone in your life that you love and care about.
I'm Hayley and I'm the set and costume designer for Our Town. Our Town is about a group of people. It's set over 3 acts and we're beginning in 1901. So we wanted it to feel of the time, of Wales, feel really rustic and rural and like a painting really. Looking out of the Welsh countryside, there's a kind of hue to the sky and a hue to those mountains and landscape, and we really wanted to put that into the colours and the textures. And costume-wise, it's obviously a big movement piece, so they're constantly moving. So it's very much then getting the actors in and feeling our way with them. We just talked a lot about what the play meant and what we wanted it to feel like. I've got a dog and I was constantly walking my dog in all the Welsh countryside, and being surrounded by that I think has really influenced the visuals. Jess, Fran and I were all working together at that time, and Michael and Ryan, the lighting designer. So I think there's an element of trust that we all have to have in each other, that we don't quite know what it's going to look like yet, that we're building it together. I think that's what I found really exciting. We just very much want to tell a story that engages our entire audience and encompasses all the creatives. It's all of us on stage telling that play. It's not like a big fancy set, it's grown, I would say, since we've been in rehearsals. The first stage directions are, there is no set and there are no props. And I think what's been brilliant about that is that we encourage the audience right from the beginning to imagine with us. So we don't give you a kitchen, we go, we're going to use all these bits and pieces to make a kitchen, and can you come and believe with us? So I think this piece of design is about investing in our imaginations and creating a world.
Hello, I'm Sherelle Skeet and I play Marva. I'm Sylvestra Latuzel and I play Fen.
And I'm Reiki Iola and I play Abby.
Filmed live on stage at the National Theatre, The Authenticator is a psychological Gothic thriller about identity, legacy and buried secrets.
You can now stream The Authenticator on National Theatre at home.
Come inside the house, if you dare.
Welcome to Harford House! I bet these walls have been privy to their own secrets.
I've got a good feeling about this.
Journals like these are incredible historical sources.
The first step is to have them authenticated.
Are you all right? You look ashen.
There is something, but I'll tell you later. This house is full of secrets.
He paid for this refurbishment with the compensation due to the loss of enslaved labour.
I'll take you to the dungeon, shall I?
Our job here is to authenticate, nothing more. How do we get out of here? You authenticated Harford's diary. No, because they are authentic. This isn't just history, this is me. Focus on the authentication.
You want me to rectify what he did?
I am asking you to tell the truth.
Thank God it's all in the past, and it will never happen again.
We have met before,
Have we?
We were at Oxford at the same time. We played the Jericho Tavern on the same night.
You're kidding. Everybody at the art school was in a band.
You had green hair.
And jet black and purple hair. That was another life. We put away childish things, and here we are. I'll wrap up with the engineer, and I'll come and find you in, what, half an hour?
You didn't say you were at Oxford with Fen? Or that you were in a band?
She had a Cockney accent in those days.
No way!
We all reinvented ourselves at university.
Well, some of us don't have to. You're a dark horse, Dr. Adeyemi.
That's enough of that. Back to work.
Today we are here to authenticate whether these props are cake or real.
The oil can. It's obviously from the dungeon.
Mhm.
The dungeon is underneath the house, and it is where Fenn's brother stored a lot of stuff, and also where he did his haunted house tours.
I think it's real.
I think it's real.
Yeah, and I think it's real.
Is
Do you
it
mean
cake?
literally
Is it
that
real?
it's a
Is it
cake?
Is it real?
No,
Is it
come on.
cake? Is it real?
It's real.
And everybody. I feel like this is one of the main characters of the show.
It is. Yes.
18th
century journal from a Jamaican estate.
And for Marva, this is like a career highlight. It's getting to meet the Beyonce of historical artifacts.
Well, the pages are very shiny.
They
Have a
are,
look.
and
They're glittery.
There's some. It's like Beyonce at the Met Gala,
Yes.
right? Isn't it? It's like it's got a bit of glitter to it. I
think that's a cake.
I'm thinking it might be cake, you know.
Oh, look at that! How amazing!
Wow! That's amazing! You know what? For a second, I doubted. You know, I was like, "Wow, this is quite
beautiful." Oh my god! Oh,
it's cake.
Look at the pages. Someone made the pages.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
Fenn has been feeding Marva lemon drizzle cake, I think, since the moment.
You're right. And somewhere down the line, there's been a mistake that Marva, or perhaps intentionally, Marva's been too polite to tell Fenn that she does not like the lemon drizzle cake.
I think that's the fake one.
I think this is the fake one.
I think it's a double. I think it's a real. I think it's a real cake.
So here we go.
Here we go.
Look. It's a bouncy cake. Gadoing.
These are the books that are in the Rose Chamber on the tour that Fenn takes Marva and Abby on.
I think those are props.
I think those are props.
Yes, so do I.
Oh, it's scary, isn't it? Because you. That's it. They're the
There we
books.
go. It features quite heavily.
It's prop.
It's not the kind of play you'd expect to find a sledgehammer, but you see quite a lot of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say cake.
I think that's a cake. It's just got a little shine.
We're saying cake, yeah.
We're saying cake. Wow, amazing. Oh my goodness.
It is cake.
Amazing. Wow.
No.
It's the same weight as the one we used.
Is that our one?
This is our one.
Oh!
Yes, I know where this is from. It is the large study.
I think it could be on a chocolate stand. Oh my God, is
Wow,
that,
the amount
is that
of
possible?
I mean, to just do the whole, like.
Is it cake?
Now, where would you like to? In here, maybe? Is that good? Okay.
It's real.
It's real. So it's the lid.
No, so none of it.
Oh, it's all real.
It's all real. We were fooled.
She bluffed. Yes.
Bluffed, you double bluffed us. And we fell for it.
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
Are these the boxes where you found the diaries? I live in hope of finding another treasure, but nothing so far. Now, that's not me. What the hell is it? Ancient plumbing, structural shifts. Goodness, it sounds as if the whole thing's about to come crashing down. The surveyor assures me that the foundations are firm. It sounds as if something's trying to tell us something. Well, that's the end of the haunted house part of the tour. There's more. You deserve some fresh air after being in this dingy old dungeon. To our final destination, the maze. Are you all right? You look ashen. There is something, but I'll tell you later. What is it? Later. Let's get this over with.
Who am I? Why am I here?
Oh, jeez. You've got two employers?
I gotta be very careful what I say here.
My identity must remain a secret. How long do I have to go along with this lie?
You want to speak to my governor?
But I'm your governor.
Yes, you are.
Oh, shit.
6 foot stunner and she's on him like a rat. I know exactly what he's after. And if he carries on like this, he's gonna get it. You said you loathed me.
I did loathe you, yes, but that was in the distant past this afternoon.
Stuffed full of cash. You're the cock-up. Don't you call me a cock-up, you cock-up. I can't stop thinking about chips. Has anybody got a sandwich?
Like a seal, one leg is put. I shall return like a storm, and everybody will get wet.
It makes you wonder how he got himself that missus. A 6-foot stunner, and she's on him like a rash.
Whoopsie-diddly-diders. You're not exactly a Swiss watch, are you?
Sorry. Well, that went quite well.
Dodgy politician with a smug little face brings about a scandal that leaves him in disgrace. Every day the papers are running another slur. Goes to see the Queen and now we have to call him sir. Makes you wonder who got himself anointed. Half an hour earlier he's lying in the trash. Well, a bloke who knows a bloke says he was sighted. Longing out an envelope stuffed full of cash.
Concentrate, ain't ya? With 2 jobs. I mean, I can do it, as long as I don't get confused. But I do get confused easily. But I don't get confused that easily, yes I do. I'm my own worst enemy. Stop being negative. I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic. I'll screw it up, I always do. Who screws it up? You! You're the role model for village idiots everywhere. Me? You're nothing without me. You're the cock-up. Don't you call me a cock-up, you cock-up. A friend of mine likes you.
What's his name?
Paddy.
What's he look like?
Oh, he could be a movie star.
Godzilla?
Nah, he's a good-looking lad. He's big-boned.
And how did he get big bones?
Oh, the usual. Nature, nurture.
Partly genetic, partly pies.
He likes his food, yeah.
Does he prefer eating or making love?
It's a tough one, that, isn't it? I
It had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest.
There is something about that name that inspires absolute confidence.
My name is Ernest in town, and Jack in the country.
You look as if your name was Ernest. Most earnest-looking person I ever saw in my life.
I am in love with Gwendolen. I've come up to town expressly to propose to her.
You could hardly imagine that I and Lord Bracknell would dream of allowing our only daughter to marry into a cloakroom.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolen, that is all. I love her.
Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily, that is all. I adore her.
I have now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being...
We want to give our actors and our audience as much delicious pleasure as possible in what we're making. This is a real kind of joy for us to do that, isn't it? It's storytelling, really, so it comes out of telling each other the story, finding ourselves looking for a context to let our audience know pretty immediately that this is a play for today.
Starting with the opening scene of the show, the prologue, we have Shooty in a gorgeous pink dress. And Ray had drawn this gorgeous pink flowy moment. And it was like, okay, let's see what we can do with that.
I'm working on the importance of being earnest, and I'm just about to cut out my pattern pieces to make the pink dress for Shooty. Although it's a dress, it's actually a skirt and a bodice with a kind of petticoat and bumhole on the inside. It'll all be joined together in the end, but it's 3-4 separate elements at the moment. It's not terribly complicated, but there is a little bit of a pattern in the fabric. So we've already found what we think is the centre of the pattern, but I don't know if you can see, but there are sort of slight lines running through it this way as well. So I need to make sure that those lines match all the way around the body. We based it loosely on a kind of period dress. We've got some images. Ray would really like it to be a little bit more mixed in with a modern feeling, and for this particular outfit, it's a dream. So it can be not exactly the period. It's probably going to take somewhere in the region of about, I'd say about 80 to 90 hours in total. I've got 10 metres of fabric here to get the dress out of. It's a silk jacquard, which means that the pattern is woven into the fabric.
This is a really specific shade, and the reference was this Barbie popping pink. Luckily, we were in a position where we could kind of buy a nice white silk and then open up the idea of using the in-house textile studio. And they kind of pass back these shade cards of what they can dye to and what's possible with the fabric. In this case, we found this one, which became the one for Shooty.
We're going to use some silk organza behind it to give it some lift through the back of the bustle. This will make it look beautiful initially, but because it has got quite a lot of performances, then we usually sort of put something in just to kind of keep it in pristine condition. So we'll probably use a little bit of net that you'll never see, which is not terribly periody. Women's wear cutter, so quite often we do end up making dresses. It's lovely to make a period thing that you've seen a few times a little bit differently. And obviously I don't get to make dresses for men very often either, so that's also quite nice. It's quite nice to be in the fitting with a whole different set of rules, if you like, physically. So yeah, it's good.
With Ray's drawings, she leaves it quite open in a nice amount where it's like it can become something from conversation. And I guess that then informed the green suit, what Shooty wears next.
We were looking for a lovely green, mainly because the big revolution in Victorian technology in terms of costume and interiors was aniline dye, which were like these incredible colours, vivid greens, amazing blues.
It was, again, sampling and seeing what is possible, and then bringing in some of these florals as well, which is kind of a recurring theme. This is our lovely piece of fabric that we ended up choosing for Shooty's suit, which is gorgeous. You obviously have a bigger range of colours. I think what was really nice about this one is that the green is an accent, but from afar and whilst on stage, it will still read as this green, gorgeous luxury piece that he's wearing.
We were looking for something very debonair and very showy-offy.
This is the jacket after the fitting, so you can see the adjustments are being made, the waist is being dropped. This design is based on a jacket from sort of the late 19th century, so it has a bit of a skirt. It could have been longer, but we've modernized the design a little bit.
And you design all of these patterns?
Yeah, we draft them from scratch. So we have the sort of the designs, and then we take the measurements in the first place, draft paper patterns. There's the one for the skirt. You can see it's become much shorter than it was. So Faye is just making the trousers. Usually one person will cut the whole outfit and one person will make a whole garment. And this we're very, very busy, and we have to share individual parts of the garment.
Since you were last here, we have had a fitting with the actor. And since then, it's been assembly. It's been putting it together with all of its proper facings. Process we call pad stitching on the lapel. It's attaching the layers together, the canvas to the top fabric, and it creates this rolling effect that happens then naturally. And pocket syringes, you can't see it, but there is a pocket in there because of the pattern matching, and we've got a couple in the sides. And there's also one on the inside as well if the actor wants to put a hanky or something like that in there. We have done various amounts of pattern matching on here. We have the flower is in the same level. That flower there is all pattern matched. It starts to go off here because it's shaped. You can never get it everywhere because of all of the different shapes. I was just on the sewing machine a moment ago putting in what we call a gather stitch. There's this row of stitching along the top here. I feel roughly, depending on the difficulty of the sleeve, that it's about 4 hours.
I'm working on the bodice for Juliet's dress. First of all, the bodice has been obviously cut out, and then we flat tack everything, which is all of this. So I've just got one final seam to tack and the shoulders, and then some boning to go in. In this costume, we're using spirals because the boning channels are slightly bent. There's a definite nod towards like the late Victorian era. But having said that, because of what's happening on stage, it's not as fitted as it would have been, and obviously it's for a man, so that impacts so it's not, completely historically accurate, but there is a nod in that direction. So I'm just going to do the shoulders up now, and then it will be ready to go on the stand. Sort of initially it was like, should we pattern match? And then the more we looked at it, the more unlikely it seemed to be achievable. But you can see this kind of is following through about the same height on the bodice. Because of it's Shooty wearing it, we've gone for left over right rather than right over left, which is the female way. We thought if he has to take it off on stage, it could be really tricky for him if something's suddenly the opposite. These things you don't even think about, do you, in life? And it's trying to make it as easy for him to act and not, be encumbered and confused by his costume. You can see on the skirt has the lovely bum pad and bustle area, and this will sit over the skirt when it's finished.
The silk organza is really light, so in that way you can make it a bit stronger and have it drapes nicely without it becoming really heavy. Yeah, I'd say that's almost 2 meters long.
So today we're looking at Shooty's dress. So this is more like a expressive or emotional kind of outfit in which it's designed especially for his body. So it's to work with his femininity. So it's sort of like playing with the currents in his persona. He was very happy with the colour chosen because it looks nice on him. So we're looking for this kind of pink and a bit of peach, a bit of gold, this kind of lush idea of beauty, basically. There's a lovely opening here on the side. And here we've got most beautiful bustle structure made out of these. Is that lush? It's kind of sensual rather than structural. Sarah's found a very clever way of keeping to that sensuality over structure. We're going for an idea of asymmetry, and then symmetry for the back here, which has bows and 2 tiered drops here. And we're putting the flowers here to enhance the bows. These flowers are set inside these kind of like lovely rushes of silk. And then inside the flowers we'll put tiny little crystals which will reflect the light at a distance.
The language of flowers was a language that the Victorians used to employ to send secret messages to their friends, their rivals, their partners, people they were interested in. So flowers did have a significance in the Victorian times, and specifically the ones that we're using want to have that sort of nod to Oscar Wilde in his world would have been the green carnation, a symbol amongst a lot of young men, whether they were homosexual. And that was sort of a secret language that they developed around wearing the green carnation on their breast jacket. I think it's a historic nod, if anything, to Oscar Wilde.
We're thinking of flowers very much as a Victorian means of expression. Our flowers are bright, voluptuous, delicious, sensual, give us great pleasure. And as we go from the city into the country, they become more prominent and more like jewels, more like delicious cakes, you know.
It's gorgeous, and I think it'll have a life beyond this show, which is really important when you're making, can it be used again? And I think it's being made beautifully, the fabric's gorgeous. We're setting it up for a long future.
What we want to give our audience is a feeling of joy and pleasure in that.
Being sure to capture that queer joy.
Yeah.
Everybody here? All I do is eat, sleep, drink, repeat. Eat, sleep, drink, repeat. Ivan, whenever you start to speak, I drift up. Are you unhappy with your life, Michael? What? Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, yeah. As for my personal life, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in it that is in the slightest bit good. Could you imagine if it was possible to completely change the way you live your life? To look at your life and ask yourself what you would do if it had ended. And then take what's left of your real life and live it properly. You won't forget me.
It's ridiculous, Ivan. Alexander keeps giving me all these instructions about the food that he can eat when he's working. He wants me to make him soup every day. He insists that I make him fresh soup every day, which makes no sense because soup isn't exactly difficult to keep. But oh no, he wants it fresh, so I do. I make him fresh soup every day. He gets up at midday, he works all through the afternoon, and the soup gets cold. And then he complains about it being reheated. Before they got here, we had lunch every day at 1 o'clock, like normal people do. Now we're waiting for the maestro to give the word. With those two, lunch is at 6 o'clock some days. And then in the evening, all he does is read and write. And then 1 o'clock in the morning, he calls me, Maureen! What do you want? Mineral water. I'm dragged out of bed to get him iced mineral water, honestly. I have no words. It's like now the soup is ready for when he asks for it, and he's gone for a walk. A walk. My name is the Maestro, and I'm going for a walk. Oh, Jesus, they're coming. Shut up. Shh. Alexander! Helena, welcome back from your perambulations. There's some soup there for you, if you want it, Alexander. Oh. Ah. But not if it's been sitting. Are you unhappy with your life, Michael? What? Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, no. Yeah, I love life. I love being alive. As for my personal life, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in it that is in the slightest bit good. You know when you walk through the woods at night and you see a light, like a small light in the distance, and you don't notice the darkness anymore, or the sharp branches in your face, or your tiredness. Sorry, I do get quite depressed.
And the thing is, there's no light in the trees for me. It's been a long, long time since I cared for anybody.
A talk of dreams, too secret and too close.
Come, civil knight, come.
Give me my sin again.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
She is a Capulet.
His name is Romeo.
And a Montague.
I have been feasting with mine enemy.
Dost thou love me?
By yonder blessed moon I vow this.
Bounty is as boundless as the sea.
Let Romeo hence in haste, else when he is found, that hour is his last. Can I go forward when my heart is here?
Shame come to Romeo. Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Peace!
Peace. I hate the word. Or will you walk?
Love will give me strength. Give me my Romeo.
They're sussing out the depth of each other's love and figuring out if they're both willing to jump off the cliff.
Romeo and Juliet was due to be performed in the Olivier Theatre in summer 2020. The sets were underway and we were ready to go. And then the pandemic hit. The production, of course, like every other production in the world, was cancelled. And yet, through David Sable, the producer, and Rufus Norris, the artistic director of the National Theatre, their vision, their tenacity said, hey, hang on, what about coming together and trying still to preserve something from that production? We know we can't do a play. We know we can't do an NT Live of recording that play in front of a live audience. What about trying to make a film of the play?
It offered up in this instance an opportunity to try and innovate, to try and still create work of scale, work that can reach great audiences, and work that celebrates the craft and talent of this building, and I think is trying to push boundaries.
Instead of just saying that's not possible, they said, well, what is possible? And came up with this beautiful hybrid idea of allowing an abandoned theatre, which is full of memories and past performances, how that theatre can actually become a character who makes the story come to life in this group of actors. So it's almost like the building is allowing the story to be told.
It's too cold for me. Come, shall we go?
Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy centre out.
I was blessed with having a 4-week rehearsal period, which for a play is short, but for a film, I hear, I've never done one before, is very long. And those 4 weeks were a really golden opportunity for me to essentially learn how to direct a film, only having directed plays all my life.
We had the cinematographer with us from day one, so it was unlike any other film kind of thing or even a theatre thing where we were all sharing ideas all the time, and so film references and pictures and paintings and music, so there's lots of things in the pot.
How it's worked in reality has been magic. It's just kind of like film crew and theatre crew and actors and dancers. We've all been working out at the same time together.
On a film, you normally sort of have to turn up and a bit like a sort of dog bringing in a bird, go, here's my performance, I hope it's all right.
I think that's really rich and provides really like interesting
original, true and honest moments that I've seen and been a part of.
The camera doesn't come at the end of the process, it comes at the beginning. Every morning, Tim Seidel, our great director of photography, would come in and essentially put me through film school. So we talk each morning about, this is a close-up, this is a long shot, this is a medium close-up, because really I started the process knowing nothing. And sometimes knowing nothing is quite liberating, because you don't know the rules to follow or indeed to break, you just let the story take over. And the film itself, in a way, mirrors the journey from theatre to film, because we start, as it were, in a rehearsal. We start on this stage just with the actors wearing simple everyday clothes, simple everyday props. The space is very much like this. And then, as the story gains momentum and the imagination of the actors takes over, we move from a very rough theatre context into a much more refined cinematic landscape.
We're used to in theatre a single candle representing thousands, or a small bit of music telling us that we're in Egypt, whereas in a film we'd have some establishing shots of the Nile. And so this conceptually takes that idea and tussles with it. I think everyone was aware of trying to find a way to capture the experience of theatre in a way that is trying to engage the viewer in the same active imagination as they experience when they come to the theatre, but when viewing a film.
If this was just a film with no rehearsals, I would never have met you. No. I'd never work with you. So the fact that we have that rehearsals allows us to check in with each other and see the people who occupy the world that we're about to create.
It's how it bonds the company. It's made me feel much more part of the whole creation of the piece rather than a small cog in a massive machine. I feel like we're all working together to create this thing.
In the rehearsal room, we're giving it loads of energy.
Yeah, and like trying to fill like a huge theatre-sized space, and then suddenly it's
and then
like,
as soon
can
as
you
Tim is
just
there, like,
do it
here,
in here, please?
Like, keep still,
yeah,
please.
The challenge, if I can call it that, is realizing that actually the run is in the takes. We get that to go at it, and that is it. So it's removing a sense of continuity, perhaps, that you get when you're doing the run of a play, and really just enjoying the moment and enjoying the relationships as we have them now, as they are.
Take thou this vial, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor drink thou off, when presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humour, for no pulse shall keep his native progress but surcease. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death thou shalt continue 22 hours, and then awake as from a pleasant sleep.
The adaptation is significantly cut down from the original text, so it's fast-paced, it's distilled to the sort of essentials, I think, of the story, and I hope that will work on screen in a really wonderful way.
One of the benefits of taking on such a well-known title is that it's been done thousands of times before and will be done thousands of times again. And so there isn't the pressure of, say, a new play to try and represent the writer's intentions as sacrosanctly as possible, because Romeo and Juliet will survive whatever I do to it. So that's strangely liberating.
Shakespeare asks you for nothing. He's quite happy to give you everything in the text. So you can choose to do Shakespeare with nothing at all. Once you decide to do it with something, you kind of need everything. So kind of all or nothing type of writing. And what we've tried to do is something slightly in between, start with kind of nothing and go to all. I wanted to still design things that if we were to open that shutter and present them in some kind of strange, deconstructed theatre film set way, they would sit in that space well. And it's definitely been an opportunity to experience a new way of working. Been doing it for 25 years. But with that also can come a little bit of autopilot, and there's been nothing autopilot about this in any way, shape or form.
The theatre techniques are quite different for hair and makeup between theatre and film. So it's been adapting our skills and our expertise to a different medium, which is the camera, which is the close-up, which is the hyper-realism that sometimes in theatre we bypass.
Haven't had to focus particularly on voice in terms of can they speak loudly enough in this production, so the focus has been very much on text. We want it to be really, really modern, really conversational, and it can be. Shakespeare allows that to happen.
For thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I'll take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou?
By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am.
Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither, tell me, and wherefore? This place is death, considering who thou art. If any of my kinsmen find thee here...
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
What we've all learnt so much over the last particularly 4 years is that the root of division and the root of partisanship is sown slowly and in many ways insidiously through a lack of communication. That it's not so much about two groups who self-identify and feud, but about how action motivated by hatred punishes the hater just as much as it does the hated.
It's, I suppose, a reminder of the excitement and the joy and the danger of first risking yourself for the love and the affection of another.
We're still all trying to work out what love means, or trying to find ways of articulating what love means and how complex love is and how sort of intoxicating it can be.
Nobody wants them to be together. The whole world is against them being together, but they still fight till the end so that they can have a life with love instead of hate.
Theatres are all about community, of course. They're all about gatherings. They're all about the one thing that we can't do right now, which is to be together in a group. So of course it's eerie, of course it's poignant, of course it's filled with ghosts. And yet, like any sacred space, it's also filled with promise. It's also filled with the extraordinary gestures, laughter, tears, passion that have filled the space where I'm sitting for decades and decades and decades. So actually, sitting here now, working in this space, filming in this space, has been an enormous act of hope and of celebration of what has come and what will come.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers.
Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither, tell me, and wherefore? This place is death, considering who thou art. If any of my kinsmen find thee here...
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
I have nights cloaked to hide me from their sight, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued wanting of thy love.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face. Else would a maiden blush would paint my cheek with that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. Gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully.
By yonder blessed moon I vow that tips with silver all the fruit treetops.
Swear not by the moon. The inconstant moon? That monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all. Although I joy in thee, I've no joy in this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet, good night.
Wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine, before thou didst request it. And yet I would it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have. For both are infinite. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu.
Madam.
Anon, Guvnors.
nurse. Sweet Montague, be true, stay but a little, I will come again.
I am afeard. Being in night, all this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial.
If that thy bent of love be honourable, thy purpose marriage, send word for me tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world. Anon, I come. Romeo.
My dear.
At what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
By the hour of 9.
I will not fail. Past hope. Past cure, past help.
Oh, Juliet, I already know thy grief. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next be married to young Paris.
Tell me not, friar, that thou hearest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If in thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution wise, and with this knife I'll help it presently. God joined my heart and Romeo's. Thou our hands, and ere this hand by thee to Romeo sealed shall become the label to another deed, or my true heart with treacherous revolt turn to another, this shall slay them both. Therefore, give me some present counsel, or behold, twixt my extremes and me, this bloody knife shall play the umpire. Oh, I long to die. If what thou speak not of remedy.
Hold, daughter. I do spy a kind of hope. If rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then is it likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away this shame. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy.
Bid me leap rather than marry Paris.
Hold then. Go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone. Let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this vial, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor drink thou off, when presently, through all thy veins, shall run a cold and drowsy humour. For no pulse shall keep his native progress but surcease. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 22 hours, and then awake, as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou dead. Then, as the manner of our country is, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo, by my visit, know our drift, and hither shall he come. And he and I will watch thy waking. On that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua.
I think it was definitely, there was definitely a period of us going like, it is scary and we don't really know what it is yet, but that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
And it ended up being the best experience.
Yeah.
Right. I'm interviewing you. How do we start? Okay, let's start at the beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
Yeah, thank you, Jessie, yes. What was the first thing you did that was theatrical?
Well, when I was small, whenever Mom and Dad used to go for a walk, me and Killian, with my brother, we would literally, they'd go for an hour an hour and they'd come back and our whole sitting room would have been transformed into some kind of theatre. All the cushions were taken off.
Yeah.
Cillian, poor Cillian, was like kind of wrangled in to be anything that I wasn't, basically.
Did Cillian like doing it?
I think he did, although the photographs say differently.
Otherwise, yeah. How old were you at this point?
I don't know, 3, 4. Right. What was your...
I actually remember a Christmas where I spent it with my auntie and uncle, or maybe a couple of auntie and uncles, and there was this house in the countryside, and we were there, and I was like, I'm going to direct a play. I remember I was playing a guy in a bomber jacket with like a sheepy kind of, it was my uncle's jacket, and I remember thinking I thought I looked really cool, and I'd made paper cigarettes.
What age were you?
21. I'd made paper, I don't know, like maybe 6 or 7, and I'd made cigarettes with a thing, and I was like smoking, and I remember yeah, absolute legend. And the main story was just about me being so cool and smoking. The narrative was loose.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you play any instruments?
I did play some instruments, yes.
Yeah. Go on, Jessie.
I was in the Gleneagle Marching Band.
Exactly.
And every Sunday we would march around the car park, and I was a looker, I can tell you that much for nothing. I was like Hagrid's love child, braces, clarinet.
Gorgeous.
Little... If only Romeo had met her.
Yeah. What
the story might have been different.
Right.
Anyway, what was your socials?
Well, I was an altar server.
Yeah.
And I got kicked off the altar for smiling too much.
That's really mean.
That's quite mean, isn't it?
It was really mean.
And I remember.
And you've been miserable ever since.
I was smiling in the presence of the Lord.
I can just imagine you though, like you've got the leading role,
and then smiling,
and you're like looking around at all the audience.
Because
like,
Mum and Dad and Barney and my brothers, they'd be out on the thing, and I'd be like doing this and going, got a candle. Got my candle. Yeah. So that's quite embarrassing, isn't it?
No, I think, yeah, well, no, I don't find it embarrassing.
I think that the band isn't embarrassing.
No, I mean, I did it. I loved it. I liked it.
OK, well, should we just crack on with the acting stuff?
What was your drama school audition piece?
Do you remember yours?
Kate from Taming of the Shrew, I did.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
I think, did she tear up a letter? So anyway, I had a letter from an ex-boyfriend who I just brought, and I actually tore it up in the audition.
So, at RADA?
At RADA.
That secured the deal, didn't it? That is very good. OK, what's next? Let's see. What was the favourite thing you did at drama school? What was the favourite play you did?
We did, in our final year, we did a play about Lee Miller, the art photographer.
Oh, yeah.
And
the wolf photographer.
Yeah. And I was Lee Miller. And it was I loved it. Well, I loved her. And I just got to,
She's amazing.
She's amazing. Amazing woman and photographer, and like her stories and writing are just so incredible. Yeah, that was mine. What was yours?
At Bristol, they do, in the final year, you do like a musical panto. I played Buttons in Cinderella. But then the Shakespeare, so the one you wanted was the Shakespeare term. So you do the Shakespeare or another classic play. And I remember the casting came out, and we all like ran up to the little like staff room place where they put the casting. And we were like looking. And I just saw so we're doing Love's Labour's Lost. And I saw mine, and it was Josh O'Connor, McCarty. And I was like, oh, is it McCarty? And I didn't know the play that well, so I was like, OK, McCarty. OK, I'm going to have a look at that. Just going through, couldn't find McCarty. I really can't find McCarty. Then I got this little note in the student area saying, will you come and see the head of acting who was directing it? So I went to see John Hartock, who's brilliant. And I was like, oh, John, I'm really excited, but I can't find McCarty. And he was like, yes, that's because McCarty isn't strictly in the play. And I was like, right, brilliant. How's that going to work? And he was like, so what we're going to do is we're basically piecing like a few one-liner parts and creating this new part. And I was like, right, so I've got 4 lines of Shakespeare in this, like, in the biggest term as far as I was concerned. But he was very sweet, and it was not a masterclass, but I loved, like, trying to upstage people. She's like, I'm trying to put people off. It was great. So that was weirdly the best fun I had. Okay, when you left drama school, Jessie, yeah, what happened?
That's more like it. That's the
bit of energy.
spirit.
How did you sign with Lindy straight away?
Well, I was in a lucky position. I had an agent before I went to drama school because I'd worked a bit before I went back. And I left early and I went and did The Tempest in the Globe, which was my first job. And I mean, it's terrifying your first job out of drama school.
You were very good. I saw that.
I don't know about that.
You were very good. You were brilliant.
I really loved that play, and
Yeah.
like Roger Allam, who was just
Amazing.
like a hero in kind of Shakespeare land when you're kind of growing up. And being at the Globe was like, you're like a rock star, but I couldn't even play the guitar properly when I that's what it felt like. And every day you're kind of, but it was just such a gorgeous summer. Like it just felt, I don't know, you kind of.
It's quite a big job, first job.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well, it was great. I had a great time. But I also felt like I was utterly crap every single night. Like you just are thinking, and that feeling doesn't go away. Like even now, just before you start a job, you think, it's been great, lads, but
this is me.
I'll exit after this one, I promise. If I'm honest, I had a funny time at college. I loved being back at RADA, and I had worked, and I really loved being around people my own age and being naughty and going to the pub and doing those things. Going to the pub is very important.
Yeah, it really is. Still is. Still very important.
But in my second year, I found it hard and I nearly left. And then I had a brilliant teacher called John Baskitza. There's always a brilliant teacher, man. There's always one brilliant teacher. And he, I told him I was going to maybe leave, and he gave me this book called Fuck It. And he was like, no, you're not. You got to read this book. And I read the book, and I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to leave.
What was your plan if you were going to leave? To
I
just
don't know,
do it, but in the real world?
I just got in the second half of second year, I just got huge anxiety and panic attacks, and I was like, I can't be creative like this, because every time I go on stage, I'm getting a panic attack, and whatever is happening doesn't feel like it's actually productive here. It feels like I'm getting more and more scared, and it was bad. Like I just felt I didn't think I could do it anymore. Like it was crippling me in every sense, and that's why I nearly left. But John was like, if you leave, it's won. That fear is won if you leave. And so I stayed kind of.
Thank God you stayed. I'd have had to play Juliet as well.
Everyone really wants to see that.
They all want it.
The real travesty of the pandemic.
Yeah. It was going to be a one-man show.
But then after I left, you have moments where you don't have a job. And I don't know, when I moved over to London when I was 17, and nothing's ever given, Like I've enjoyed the times as much where I've had to just do bread and butter jobs in some shape or form and know that I was still hungry for the thing that I loved doing the most. But if that meant that in order to do that, I had to go and sell cereal in Borough Market or, work in a shop or whatever, then that was fine. But I always knew that it was a means to feeding something that I believed I really just wanted to do for the rest of my life. What about you?
What were the jobs?
What were the jobs?
What were the jobs you did? You sold cereal.
I
remember this.
I sold cereal in Borough Market, but I ended up doing that because when I was in the Globe, I would go basically to Borough Market every day and take free samples. But I was doing it so much. So the cereal woman was like, why don't you just work here? And so after the Globe, I didn't have any jobs, so I just ended up selling cereal for a bit. It was great, but it's actually really hard to sell cereal.
It's hard. Not to me, I love cereal. I loved all my jobs. I did so many jobs, and because when I left drama school, it was like what Bristol's amazing at and sometimes I sometimes thought it was a little too good at, was saying you're probably not going to work. But what they taught was create your own work and be able to sustain yourself creatively, in the sense that if you're a painter, you know, you can paint. You just get your paints and you've got a canvas and you can do it. As an actor, it's not true, but you think that you have to be employed in order to do your job. And so a lot of our time was spent like finding ways of creating work ourselves, for ourselves or for others or whatever. And that was amazing. But when I left drama school, that was like, in a weird way, if I look back at like my favourite times of so far in my career, I would say the first 2 years are up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was magic.
Yeah,
it was like,
yeah.
I would like work in a pub in Dalston in the evenings. I had like a telesales job in the day, and then I'd rush at lunchtime. I'd be just like, I wouldn't eat because I'd be learning lines for an audition the next day. And then I'd have like the horrible call to my boss being like, I'm really sorry, I can't come in tomorrow because I've got this audition. And just the whole thing was like stress, but also so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like all the ambition of it.
They are magic. I think that's the thing as well, is like you've got to, it's changing your mind about what these things are. Like, and you're so right, because it is always an opportunity to create like something. Even going to an audition. You know, I actually have always really liked
Do you like audition? Oh.
Yeah, I do, because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And I also like, you know, when you come out of drama school, or even like now, and you get a great script, or you're trying to like, you get something which crosses across your life for like a week, and you get to like be in somebody else's head and learn the lines, and then be in a room and actually try and understand the world from their perspective and like create something from that. I just think that's great fun. And if it doesn't last beyond that, obviously you're gutted if you've really sold your heart into something and you feel there's always a feeling of like...
Did you get like a low if you like fully gone there and on a part and you were like, I have to play this part? And obviously a lot of the time you don't get to play those parts.
Yeah, definitely. But then that's life. That's our life. Like, you got to respect everybody's part in it. Like, a director has his own vision, and sometimes you don't fit into that vision, even if you've done your best. Like,
yeah.
You were meant to be doing Romeo and Juliet with
Jessie Buckley.
Yeah. Which is
it's nice. Yeah.
Good that you missed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Why did you want to do it?
I've always loved, like, I've done, you know, bits of it in college and stuff, and I've always loved it. I find it like a really sad, amazing play, and a terrifying play. And I always wanted to do it because you were doing it. And we wanted to do something together, and I probably honestly wouldn't, I don't know if I would have wanted to do it unless I would have been too afraid to do it. It felt like a thing way off in the distance that people who are much braver than me would do.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I remember I came in and talked to Simon, who was our director. To me, it's like probably the last play I was thinking of ever doing.
Why did you want to do it then?
Mostly it was just the idea of us two getting to kind of, as you always say, jump off a cliff together on Olivier stage. That seems so exciting and out of my comfort zone. Because I remember you and me and Simon all going out onto the Olivier stage. And I think the plan was that Fizaya Akiade was going to show us the stage as like, this is how, isn't it brilliant? But we both came away going, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was terrified.
It was terrifying.
I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. But what was it about the play that you were afraid of? Like, what was it that was like scary about?
Well, it's like, because there's so much darkness in it, I think that's what slightly scared me, was that the idea is like, there are huge amounts of darkness at the beginning of the play, and then out of that, there's this like chink of light in Juliet, and then we have to sell, basically, that we are completely in love in basically in one scene on a balcony where we very rarely are in the same space. And if that doesn't work, then you're sort of screwed for the rest of the play. So that was quite intimidating.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about how we ended up going from making Romeo and Juliet on the Olivier stage to the film?
the pandemic happened, and kind of initially nobody really knew what might be possible. But then as the time got closer and closer, it became more clear that we weren't going to be doing it on the Olivier. And Rufus, I think, called us first, right?
So the idea initially came from Rufus Norris, who is the artistic director of the National Theatre, for anyone who doesn't know, and Simon Godwin, who was our director. It was Rufus who first came around and basically said, why don't we do something that's not NT Live?
Yeah, and make a film of Romeo and Juliet. Which I think both of us initially were like, oh God, I don't know if I want to make a film of Romeo and Juliet. That's doubly scary, especially because there's, you know, been amazing versions of Romeo and Juliet. And I guess the draw for us was to be back with an audience and be in the theatre. But then we kept coming back to it and kept having conversations with Rufus and Simon and exploring what it might look like or be like on a film. And then it started to feel exciting.
I think it was definitely, there was definitely a period of us going like, this is not what we want to do. It was basically everyone at the National and everyone in our team, you, me and Simon, just going, it is scary and we don't really know what it is yet, but that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the best experience of my career.
And I think a moment that really sticks with me is when we came in to look around the National with Rufus and we came onto the stage. We came onto this stage.
Yeah.
And the whole building was dark. And I think Simon the week before had sent this picture to me and you of the costumes.
The costume rails.
The costume rails like in the foyer, and there were like these ghosts that had been left in the theatre. And we came into this space, and the set from the play that had been shut down on the Tuesday of the pre-lockdown and the pandemic were still here. And it was really sad and emotional.
It was incredibly emotional. I remember we were stood in the middle here, and the iron, just as at the top of this interview, came. They were like, Rufus was like, can we get the iron to open? And the iron opened, and we saw that, and it was like, that as an image is incredibly sad. But also just the drama of seeing that iron, I was like, that's quite filmic. And suddenly it was like, it all kind of pieced together. And then the brilliance of Emily and Simon to create a script that felt filmic and cinematic. And
I think as well is out of 2020, we can make something which is a photograph of this moment in time where a place has been dark and we're bringing it back to life and light again, against the odds. Again, you know, at the end of it, I was like, this is terrifying, but
it'll never happen
really
again.
Excited. It'll never happen again.
Or hopefully, it'll never happen again. But also just that special feeling of just every single person from every department, just feeling like we're the only ones that are keeping this, who are in this building and keeping stuff going.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
And we felt that during the whole of filming as well. You know, there was a different energy and sense. People were, well, firstly, for the first time, these two kind of titans of storytelling were coming together, like a film team and a theatre team, and sharing a space and sharing a way of telling a story. But also everybody from cast to crew, they were hungry. It really felt like everybody really had a need to tell this story and to make this space live again. And it was, and I don't know, I think you can feel that in the film. How do you think the pandemic will affect the arts and theatres?
I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, it's already affected it in a negative way, insofar as particularly regional theatres. I guess to be sort of glass half full. I suppose it's in some ways there is a potential for it to be really exciting. And I don't know if you remember, but Rufus came in, I remember, on our first day and said, but the moments in history where theatre has changed have all come from moments of depression or moments of political or social change. And it's lit a fire under the kind of art scene and stuff's changed. Mm-hmm. And our experience of making Romeo and Juliet, although it's a film, it was theatrical, it was on a stage, it felt like we had to think about a new way of telling stories. All those actors and like creatives who've come out of film school or drama school in the last year are going to be like burning to like make work and to be on a stage and create theatre. And so,
yeah,
what do you think?
I think you're right. I think there's like it's been really. It's really sad to be here and like see nobody here, you know.
Yeah.
This place is what, like, the joy of what live theatre is when you're doing a play and you spot somebody's face in the middle of an audience, and you could literally just be you and them and nobody else. And when you have nobody's face looking back at you out there, that you know that's what we live for, is like to touch people and change people and make people feel something. And so when you don't have that, there is that hunger and that burn to like do it again. But I agree that I think I feel excited, and I feel like Romeo and Juliet was so exciting because it felt like the very thing which we've been doing all our life, which is using our imagination to tell a story, was in a way what led us into actually making the film of Romeo and Juliet, because we had to use our imagination to find a new way to tell this story. And that's what I really hope on the other side of this pandemic, is that that hunger and that need to find a new way to use our imagination to create a new world for us all to step out into after this, and actually, heal and make a difference, is really exciting. And I think there's going to be really exciting art out of this.
I also think like art is inherently political and holds like a mirror up on society, and I feel like we have missed it so much. And in particular, in a time where I guess trying to understand and translate our experience, our human experience.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's such a hunger for that, and places like theatres and art galleries and cinemas. These are the places where they're like cultural temples where we can kind of explore those questions. I just feel like it's bubbling, and underneath there's like constant, all those chats that you and Simon are having. They just feel like, there's so many ideas, so many ways of how do we express what we're experiencing now.
Yeah, and I think we've all been so starved of a connection with each other. And yet we've been all part of something so universally communal for the first time in our life.
Yeah.
That actually on the other side of this, that charge and that need to reconnect with each other and share what we've gone through, and also what we're going to come out on the other side of it and go through again, is really beautiful. And we've been all incredibly vulnerable with each other this last year and a half. We're awake again to each other, and I can't help but think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Will you always want to come back to theatre?
Right, yes. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Will you? Yeah, no, definitely. I think like the last play I did was at the RSC, and that was like 5 years ago. And I always remember older actors explaining that, who were doing lots of film and television, saying, you have to check in on theatre. And it's like, they'd have different time frames. It'd be like, every 3 years I have to do a play, or every 2 years I have to do a play, or every 4, or whatever. And it was about like, just checking in on the craft, on the actual, like, the work. There is something about, at the heart of it, the immediacy of theatre that you don't necessarily get on film and television. I think I'll never not want to do that unless I start to freak out.
Oh, it's magic.
But it is magic. And also even the freaking out bit is magic.
Yeah, yeah. Like my favourite moment in the theatre is just before a play starts. Yeah, that little tiny moment where an audience is like a beehive and you hear all these like sounds, and then between them, they make a contract to just go silent, like before curtains even gone up. And it's like that, it's those bits of magic that you're going into something together with a group of people. And I will always want to come back to theatre and like feel like there's nothing like being live with an audience like that.
I always thought it was like, if you ever watch tennis, and particularly at Wimbledon, where the ball goes up, and it's basically this point, so the ball goes up, and just before it travels down again, it pauses.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's this like moment of a butt, and you can hear, there's like everyone's quiet as the tennis player throws it up. But there's this like even deeper sense of quiet and that moment of just before impact. And I always felt like it was like that when you're waiting the wings to go on, and it's just like an in-breath in unison between everyone. It's like a contract that we are going to share a story together.
Yeah.
Jessie. Okay.
You're rubbish at this.
No, but I like doing the.
We
I
just
like
laugh.
playing the interviewer.
Like.
Let me just play the interviewer.
Okay, okay, okay.
Hang on. No, I'm just going to do it now. Jessie, what's the difference between? Is there a difference between acting on camera and acting on the stage?
Yeah, I guess there is. The main difference is that on stage you've got, 100 or 1,000 people with you in a moment. And in film, it's much more intimate. I approach a character the same way, whatever the medium, whether it's a film or a theatre or a song or whatever, it's like you're trying to get to the core of this human being and tell that story within a story to the best you can.
I mean, there is a difference. There's a technical difference, isn't there? Insofar as you've got a microphone, so you don't have to project your voice. But beyond that, like, the heart of it is just like responding to another person.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
It's a relationship, so you're just doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I also think that, like, the most magic moments in a theatre, or like if you go to see a gig, I remember going to see Nick Cave play in Victoria Park, and it was like watching a magician. Like, he was so intimate, he was so small in ways, and what he was managing to do in kind of corral like thousands of people in this field in the middle of Victoria Park by doing something so tiny and like really putting them in was magic.
I love that.
Like that is that. When that happens in the theatre as well, it's not all like, hello,
One of the greatest experiences I ever had at a theatre was my friend Michael Marcus. There was this moment where it was just him on stage, and all he was doing was like moving a couple of bits around the stage. And he did this thing, and I can't remember what the action was, but he did a little thing, and everyone, I witnessed sitting in the stalls, everyone just at the same time just go, like that. It was like a little lead.
Yeah.
And it's like so amazing that you can, basically intimacy can be brought. Audiences want to see and want to hear, and they will like lead.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can be really magic.
Yeah, and it can be the same and opposite on camera. Like, and even with Romeo and Juliet, like this emotion and love is so massive, and there is a scope to. You had to go to the biggest place in it because it is so big. And I guess our job is always trying to moderate the dynamics within a story and not be frightened of it. Like, do whatever you want. As long as it feels like it's being honest.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you've worked with that has given you like a piece of advice or, I don't know, something that you've taken with you?
Working with you was like mind-blowing, and I learnt loads. And there have been like 4 or 5 actors, I'd say, where you go, oh my God, this is like starting again. And that feels really exciting. Like, oh, okay, actually this person's doing stuff in a way that feels completely different and exciting and new. And so it's less advice. I guess it's just like moments.
Yeah.
Like I remember Matthew McFadden and just watching how he operated, how he kind of, the way he interacted with people. It's like kindness. And Jerome Flynn was like amazing. Johnny Flynn, I loved working. There's so many. Like kind of everyone that I work with, I get really excited about. But what about you? Do you have someone that's like?
I have this lovely relationship in my life with Brenda Fricker, and we've never met. And she's a Kerry woman, and growing up watching My Left Foot and just who she is as a woman, I've always just admired her and thought what an incredible actress she is. And about 2-3 years ago, she got my number and rang me out of the blue, and I was like walking just through London, and she was like, "Hello, it's Brenda Fricker." And she said, "Now, I'm calling you to tell you, you must nurture yourself." And in a very practical way. And like, sometimes people don't tell you those things in this job. Is like, you've got to feed yourself in every single way. You've got to like eat well and nurture your mind and like nurture your inspiration. Like look at paintings or look at pieces of music. Everything is inspiring if you look around and can feed you from the inside out. And you've got to be conscious about that.
Do we have any advice for younger actors? I guess like in the first few years, I wish that I'd picked up on this sooner. But I remember feeling like, and it's going to sound a little bit scary, but I'm just going to explain it for you. There's a very famous photograph of Yves Klein. Do you know Yves Klein? Who was trying to capture the colour blue. And there's actually a paint called International Klein Blue. And there's a very famous photograph of Yves Klein, and he's jumping off this brick wall into nothing.
Yeah.
There's like concrete on the floor. And he's jumping off, and it's beautiful, and he's like trying to catch. It's supposed to represent him trying to catch blue, the colour in the sky, which is what his obsession was. I think it's called the leap of faith. And it's also to represent the leap of faith you have to make as an artist, of like just throwing yourself into space. There was a moment in my career, very early on, where I was working insane hours, like 3 jobs, just to pay my rent in London, and trying to learn, you know, like coming home at 11 p.m. after working at the pub and learning my lines for an audition the next day and staying up till like 1, 2 a.m. and then barely any sleep and doing auditions. And I was rubbish in the auditions, so I was tired, and then going back to work. And it was non-stop. I loved it, but it was non-stop, and I was exhausted. But I needed the money. And at one point, I just decided, it was like a switch. I just went, I can't do this anymore, and I have to quit my job. And I'm going to be really poor, and I'm not going to have any money, and I won't be able to pay rent, maybe. But I have to do this, because I have to commit to doing whatever this, you know, going on the journey of whatever acting is going to, wherever it's going to take me. And I remember calling my mum, and she was really worried. And she was like, but you've got this really good sales job. And she was very sweet and was just anxious about me not having the money. And I sent this postcard. I was very proud of myself, because basically I did a bit of research on the leap of faith photograph. And it's this moment of him, Yves Klein, jumping off this wall, and underneath just concrete. But I'd understood that there were people underneath to catch him that were photoshopped out. And when I found that out, whether it's, I don't know if it's true, and if it's not, then it doesn't matter, because it still affects the story. When I found out there were people underneath, I was like, that's even better as a story of leap of faith. Because actually, as an artist, you can't just make a leap of faith. You have to have this support mechanism underneath you. And that can apply to like financial, which is a problem we have in the arts, but also emotional support. And I just think if there was one bit of advice, it would be like, throw yourself at this, and it's an amazing job. But also be ready to embrace each other and be there to support each other, because we have this amazing thing in this industry of like family.
Yeah.
And I remember our first day on Romeo and Juliet, you said, it just feels amazing to be with like my people, like my family.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if that's advice, but
No,
I just think
is.
it's being supportive to other
that's
artists, isn't
beautiful.
it? Who would you rather have had interview you? Maybe we can turn this into a quick game of would you rather.
Okay, yeah. You love a
So
game.
would you rather Robert De Niro interview you or Jeremy Paxman?
I'd say Robert De Niro, yeah.
I'd go Paxman.
Would you? Oh, nothing against him. He's lovely.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I'm just saying it to balance it. All about balance. Yeah.
Would you rather Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, lush.
Or
Yeah.
or Simon Godwin?
Simon.
Oh,
we'd all love
isn't that
Simon
nice?
to interview us. Yeah. God, that'd be lovely. We love you, Simon.
I'm very happy.
I'm delighted to be interviewed.
To be honest, I
And you were great.
didn't want anybody but
No.
you, ever.
There you go. That's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks.
See you soon.
I'm here because people with AIDS live in the streets of New York City, and that's the policy of this administration. It's not a mistake.
The AIDS virus attacks and destroys white blood cells, stripping the body of its resistance to other illnesses. AIDS victims soon fall prey to cancers, pneumonia, fevers, and wasting sickness. Equally frightening, the number of AIDS cases is doubling within a time span of 10 to 12 months. And there is still no known cure.
The play was written about the mid-'80s, about the politics of the AIDS epidemic, which is now a global pandemic, the fundamental situation of a group of disenfranchised and oppressed people struggling for emancipation in the middle of a biological calamity.
15,000 Americans have already died from the disease, and the numbers are doubling each year. If it continues at this rate, it's estimated that in 1990, more people could die of AIDS in that year than were killed on the American side in the Vietnam War. And all that doctors can offer for now is comfort.
Do you know what that is? Love! Do you know what love means?
Everybody in Angels is facing incredibly difficult things. Young people are facing death at an age when young people should never have to face death. Or they're facing having to take care of someone with a catastrophic illness at an age when they're not really together enough to do that.
I was very drawn to its magic realism. It's the supernatural, the subconscious, the bravery of it. So it starts off in quite domestic, realistic settings and then grows and grows and grows beyond and beyond and beyond that.
Dykes and Flags are here to say we have gay pride every day. Dykes and Flags.
I gave it the title, The Gay Fantasia on National Themes. I didn't know at the time that I meant it or that anybody would ever take that seriously, that it was a kind of a campy, queenie thing to do, and it would be sort of fun. But the play does have an ambition. I mean, there's no question about it. I felt that theater was too willing to concede certain powers to film. Film was always so much better at making plausible illusion than theater is. But of course, the whole point of illusion in theater is that it's not good, is that it's always easy to see through, except when your emotions are engaged and you forget that you don't believe it and you start to believe it. And that's, I think, the core of the theatrical experience.
Snow! Ice! Mountains of ice!
Well, there's a beautiful theatricality to it all. There's a sort of gloriousness to it. There's a sort of panache and an elegance to the way it's written and to the way that the characters have a sense of wit and performance to them as a way of coping with the situation, which if they didn't deal with it in that way of being witty or elegant, then they would sort of just sink into the doldrums. I mean, I totally understand that, I think, because I'm from a very theatrical family. They used to do that all the time.
Trailing sequins and incense, he came into this world. Trailing sequins and incense, he departed it. And good for him.
I thought the 20 professional Sicilian mourners were a bit much.
I think that some of the political questions that the play addresses are still relevant. Some of them are more relevant. I would be much happier if it felt like an antique bit of sort of like nostalgia and Reaganism had just sort of gone away. It's quite upsetting that we're still listening to the same nonsense.
When Tony wrote the plays, I think he tried to keep it contained to one play. But he found that these characters couldn't resolve themselves in 3 hours. I suppose what he wanted to do with them is to really take them down into the depths of the murky water and bring them out cleansed. So that's not going to be a quick, easy thing.
I think the thing that's always been true about Angels in America is that it really is about human relationships, love, betrayal, fear, mortality. And I don't know that those things become irrelevant at any point.
It's about how we deal with erosion, how we find ways of renewing ourselves and surviving.
I'm sorry I didn't introduce you. I always get so closety at these family things.
Butch. You get Butch. Hey, Cousin Doris, you don't remember me. I'm Lou. It's Rachel's boy. It's Lou. It's not Louis. Because if you say Louis, they'll hear the sibilant S.
Now, I don't have a...
I don't blame you, hiding bloodlines. Jewish curses are the worst. I personally would dissolve if anyone ever looked me in the eye and said, "Fer." Fortunately, wasps don't say "fer." Oh, and by the way, darling, Cousin Doris is a dyke.
No. Really?
You don't notice anything. If I hadn't spent the last 4 years filleting you, I'd swear you were straight.
You're in a pissy mood. Cat still missing?
Not a furball in sight. And it's your fault.
It is.
I warned you, Lewis, names are important. Call an animal Little Sheba, you can't expect it to stick around. And besides, it's a dog's name.
Well, I wanted a dog in the first place, not a cat. He sprayed my books.
He was a female cat.
Cats are stupid, high-strung predators. Babylonians sealed them up in bricks. Dogs have brains.
Cats have intuition.
A sharp dog is as smart as a really dull 2-year-old child.
Cats know when something's wrong.
Well, only if you stop feeding them.
No, they know. That's why Sheba left, because she knew.
What? Knew what?
The play is a masterpiece.
It's a play about America in the mid-1980s at the rise of the AIDS epidemic in New York.
It is a period piece, but I think it has as much to say now as it did then.
And yeah, we're in a time now where people's rights and people's livelihood and feeling welcome in the world is being majorly compromised.
Which is something you never thought would happen. Really? You didn't think history would go backwards, but it seems like it is.
It's a turn away from our humanity, and it's a turn away from loving each other and from the truth, which is every life is of value.
Each person deserves to be seen, and it deserves, in a sense, to be not just tolerated or accepted, but actually to be a citizen.
That's what this play is about. It's about humanising all these groups of people that we like to marginalise, that we like to generalise or come up with generalisations for, and this play challenges that.
I want to be on the right side of history, and this play, at least in my work at the moment, is putting me there, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, who is this, the operator? Give me an outside line. Oh, well then dial for me. It's a medical emergency, darling. Dial the fucking number, or I'll strangle myself with the phone cord! 202 733 8525. Oh. Martin Heller. Oh, hi, Martin. Yeah, I know what time it is. I couldn't sleep. I'm busy dying. Listen, Martin. This drug they got me on, azido, methadolo, molamoca, whatchamacallit. Yeah. AZT. I want my own private stash, Martin, of serious, honest Abe medicine that I control here in the room with me. No placebos. I'm no good at tests, Martin. I'd rather cheat. So send me my pills with a get well bouquet pronto, or I'll ring up CBS and sing Mike Wallace a song. The Ballad of Adorable Ollie North and his secret Contra slush fund. Oh, you only think you know all I know. I don't even know what all I know. Half the time, I just make it up, and it still turns out to be true. We learned that trick in the 50s. Tomorrow, you two-bit scum-sucking shit-heel, flypaper, insignificant, dried-out little turd. A nice big box of drugs for Uncle Roy. Or there'll be 7 different kinds of hell to pay.
One of the ways in which we are getting the Angel to fly in Angels in America is with something called counterweighting, where the actors on stage are in harnesses and they are attached to semi-invisible lines which go up to pulleys in the grid, and then those lines are then attached to crew members who are off stage that you can't see, who climb up and down ladders. What you're looking at when you're looking at the flying is a 6 or 7 person mechanical duet. The moment where the flying comes happens at the end of a big fight sequence. The speed and the rhythm of the fight, we wanted to take that into the flying as well. So whereas with automated flying, you generally see a body being lifted at a reasonably steady and sedate pace, you don't get the dynamism that you can get with a human on the other end of the line.
To go.
The wings sort of give us the special effect of the anatomy of flying. They give us flapping and they seem to lift her into the air and to move her through the space. And so the wings are this kind of emotional amplifier for her, as well as giving us the sort of fantastic anatomy of flight. They need to have a sense of life, and so we use their sort of breath, and we use their sense of intention and their sense of muscularity to try and help bring those to life. And so whenever we're working with people who haven't worked with before, then we'll introduce these underlying principles, these ideas about how you bring something that's essentially inanimate to life.
Okay, Phil. We're 20 metres up in the air and we are next to the Angels in America counterweight performer flying truss. The wires come from the stage up to the drop blocks. They'll go underneath the truss and over to the header blocks. And from there, they'll go down 15 metres to the top of the ladders. The counterweighters attach themselves to the wires, and when they climb the ladder, the performers come in. When they climb down the ladder, the performers go out.
Let's go. Part of my job is I go around and check all our harnesses and do some visual inspections on the entire rig. And once a week, we have the riggers come round and do a full inspection of the rig. They're very thin, 2.5 mil lines. We have about a 10-to-1 ratio for performance flying for safety. They clip in the actors for us, and then when we give them the go, bang, off we go, and we jump off the ladders and up she goes.
And the beauty with a counterweight system is you get a very smooth, even transition between an up and down movement. It makes you look like you're floating.
The counterweight flying is really interesting because we as technicians, we develop a different relationship with the scene and with the performers. When you're moving a piece of furniture, you've got a cue and you're moving from this mark to that mark. So that's very precise. The counterweight flying is also precise, however, because you are dealing with the performer, it's a more subtle relationship that you develop with the scene, and this is really interesting. It's different than what we normally do. We need to rush down the ladder, the three of us at the same speed, at the same levels, to make sure that what you're seeing on stage is only one figure.
I fly the Angel in the middle, and I also have another person that is on the end of my line and gives me sort of an extra assist. It's all about the feel of the person. It's about your relationship between yourself and the actor. The Angel gets lifted, and there's an added weight of one of the other actors that gets pulled up by the Angel. Therefore, I have to feel that. And for the stage and for the audience purposes, I can't allow them to see the jolt of added weight. You sort of have to develop this symbiotic relationship between yourself and the actor.
In the show, the Angel will fly for about a minute, but we will have spent about 4 months preparing and training the performers to make that 1 minute perfect.
It's taken us an awfully long time to build up those layers so that you've got one image and all of these people trying to achieve the same thing and make it look like the physics is right, the physics of the puppetry, the physics of the lifting up into the air, the physics of someone being lifted, and all of that working towards the same image.
One of the great things about my job is that I get to come in right at the beginning of a process and sit down with the director and think about which scenes you can animate by taking somebody into the air and how that works alongside the story. You rarely fill the airspace that's right in the middle, in front of the audience, above the stage.
Queen, you know you've hit rock bottom when even drag is a drag.
Who are you?
Who are you?
What are you doing in my hallucination?
I'm not in your hallucination. You're in my dream.
You're wearing makeup.
So are you.
But you're a man.
The hands and feet give it away.
There must be some mistake. I don't recognize you. You're not... Are you some sort of imaginary friend?
No. Aren't you too old to have imaginary friends?
I have emotional problems. I took too many pills. Why are you wearing makeup?
I was in the process of applying the face, trying to make myself feel better. I swiped the new fall colors from the Clinique counter at Macy's.
You stole them?
I was out of cash. It was an emotional emergency.
Joe will be so angry. I promised him no more pills.
These pills you keep alluding to.
Valium. I take Valium. Lots of Valium.
And you're dancing as fast as you can.
I'm not addicted. I don't believe in addiction. And I never drink, and I never take drugs.
Well, smell you, Nancy Drew.
Except Valium.
Oh, except Valium in wee fistfuls.
It's terrible. Mormons aren't supposed to be addicted to anything. Well, I'm a Mormon.
Well, I'm a homosexual.
Oh. In my church, we don't believe in homosexuals.
In my church, we don't believe in Mormons.
Well, what church do you...
Oh.
I get it. We are not defective! It's the world that's If there is a higher power, then strike me down! I want to live! I want to live vividly! I want to make huge, heroic, spectacular mistakes, because what else is there? Foster, is it?
Yeah?
I'm a little bit...
Scared? Do you want to see a picture of my dog? She's a mongrel, mostly English Mastiff, refuge dog, used for fighting and left for dead. Look, her ear isn't all there and she's blind in her right eye. Kennel were going to put her down, so I just took her home with me. She's impossible to heist train. Destroyed almost everything I own. She's bitten my right ankle, both my calves, my knee, my elbow, my hand, here, and here, and my shoulder. Her name's Eleanor. I love that dog.
How come you're allowed a phone?
Because I work here.
Oh, can I borrow it?
There's a buzzer by the bed and a cord in the bathroom. We'll come in and check on you, make sure you don't choke on your own vomit or hit your head if you start fitting. Did you take the meds? It's much better with the meds. Hang in there. This is the easy part.
I love this play so much. I love everything about what Duncan has written. Even calling it a play seems sort of trite. It's something much deeper than that. And it also reaffirmed entirely what I've always believed, that live performance can genuinely affect change in people's lives. This experience in the theatre is incredibly profound for me and everyone. It's 2.5 hours of everybody being connected to each other. Obviously, I love playing Emma. What I admire about her is her tenacity and her interrogation of everything. As an actress, it's an absolute gift. I want people to feel everything. I want audiences to not know what the next feeling is. Come and see the show, it's amazing. Genuinely, it's really good.
Seen you on stage a few times, mostly in theatres above pubs. It's much less suspicious to drink alone if you're in an audience. I remember thinking, she's gonna be great.
Yeah. I used to think that too. You know, with a play, you get instructions, like stage directions, and someone clothes you, tells you where to be and when. You get to live out the most intense moments of a life over and over again with all the boring bits just left out. And you get to practice for weeks, and then you get applauded. And then you get changed, leave through stage door, bus home, back to real life, all the boring bits left in. Oh, just waiting, temping, answering phones, serving canapes, nothing permanent. You can't plan, you can't get a mortgage or pay for a car. And then an audition comes in. You try to look right, and you sit in a room surrounded by people who all look exactly like you do, all up for the same part. Never hear back. Or you get the part, and then it's sitting around in rehearsals or backstage, probably earning less than you did temping. And you make these friendships with people, like a little family, and you fall in love on stage and off, and then it's over, and you don't see them again. You try not to take it personally when people who aren't as good as you get the parts. Or when you go from being the sexy ingenue to the tired mother of three. But you keep going, because sometimes, if you are really, really lucky, you get to be on stage and you get to say things that are absolutely true, even if they're made up. You get to do things that feel more authentic, more real, more meaningful than anything in your own life. And you get to speak poetry, words you would never think to say, but that become yours as you speak them. And when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Feels like Lydia is trying to get me to acknowledge some buried trauma, but there isn't any. I played Antigone, and every night my heart broke for her dead brother. And then my own brother died, and I felt nothing. I missed the funeral because I had a matinee. I'm not avoiding talking to the group because I've got something to hide, Mark. It's the opposite. If I'm not in character, I don't even know if I'm there. I'm nothing. I'm already dead. I want to live 100 lives and be everywhere and fight against the infinitesimal time we have on this planet. Acting gives me the same thing I get from drugs and alcohol. Good parts are just harder to come by. Man, I really miss my brother.
Don't you just love these long, rainy afternoons in New Orleans? I'm Blanche.
Stella's sister.
You must be Stanley.
I mean, some men are took in by this Hollywood glamour stuff, and some men are not.
There are things
things that happen in the dark between a man and a woman that sort of make everything else seem unimportant.
In my opinion, you are married to a madman.
Every man is a king! And I'm king around here, so don't you forget it!
What you are talking about is just desire. Brutal desire.
Wasn't everything okay until she showed here, hoity-toity, describing me as an ape?
What have I done to my sister?
I don't want realism. I want magic. They told me to take a streetcar named Desire and then transfer to one called Cemeteries and ride it 6 blocks and get off at Elysian Fields.
That's where you are now.
At Elysian Fields?
This here is Elysian Fields.
Well, they mustn't have understood what number I wanted.
What number you looking for?
632.
Well, you don't need to look no further.
I'm looking for my sister, Stella Dubois. Mrs. Stanley Kowalski.
That's the party. You did just miss her, though.
This? Can this be her home?
She got the downstairs here and I got the up.
Oh, and she's out?
You notice that bowling alley around the corner?
I'm not sure I did.
Well, that's where she's at, watching her husband bowl. You want to leave your suitcase, go find her?
No.
I'm gonna tell her you come.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
She wasn't expecting you.
No, not tonight.
Well, why don't you just go inside and make yourself at home till they get back?
Oh, how could I do that?
Oh, we own this place, so I could let you in.
All right, now, Mr. Kowalski, let us proceed without any more double talk. I'm ready to answer all questions. I've nothing to hide. What is it?
There is such a thing in this state of Louisiana as the Napoleonic Code, according to which what belongs to my wife is also mine, and vice versa.
Ah, but you have an impressive judicial... Oh.
If you were my wife's sister, I'd get ideas about you.
Such as what?
Don't play so dumb. You know what? Where are the papers?
What papers?
Papers that stuff people write on.
Oh, papers. The first anniversary gift. All kinds of papers.
I'm talking legal papers connected with a plantation.
Oh, there were some papers.
You mean they're no longer existing?
Well, they probably are somewhere.
But not in a trunk?
Everything that I own is in that trunk.
Let's have a look for them.
What in heaven's name are you thinking of? What is in the back of that little boy's mind of yours that I'm absconding with something? Attempting some kind of treachery on my sister? Let me do that. It will be faster and simpler.
What's them underneath?
Love letters, yellowing with antiquity.